And our final speaker has the challenge of bringing together a lot of what we've been discussing today and talking to us through a model that she has developed about the different stages of societal engagement with the transition and what she has observed and where she thinks we can go so that we can create more support and more of a whole society approach to the transition. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Anna Wieczorek, Professor from the University of Technology in the Netherlands. Anna. I'm so looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Last but not least, the advantage is that I can build on whatever has been said already. I am an innovation scholar who is studying these broad processes of sustainability transition, and from a theoretical perspective, we frame those processes as a sort of interplay of stability and change. Stability, because on the one hand, we are building systems to ensure predictability, certainty. If something happens like today, we are unhappy. Malfunction is not welcome. These systems are also very stable because of sunk investments, because of infrastructure investments. But they are also extremely difficult to change. But we have to change them because of sustainability reasons. Most of the systems through which we provide our human needs are highly unsustainable. And the way how we frame those systems in transition studies is that they are socio-technical. This is to emphasize that it's not only about replacement of a technology, but it's about resources, it's about grids, it's about maintenance frameworks, it's about also policies and practices through which we sort of reproduce those systems. Because of the number of developments around, war in Ukraine, crisis of sorts, these systems are very much under pressure, but we also realize ourselves that we need to change them. And we put new systems in place. And as someone said this morning, it's a radical change, it's a paradigm shift. They operate on a totally different logic than the systems that we are dealing with right now. It's not only about replacement of fossil fuel with renewables, but it's also about grid adjustments. Grids has to be bidirectional to allow for these flows of renewables. It means different jobs, it means different competencies. Actually, at my university, I am responsible for restructuring the university to deliver this type of competencies to have our students be able to deal with this type of transitions. It also means different actors in the scene and policies to match all of this. And in Europe, we have set this binding goal for deployment of renewables at 42.5%, and we are not halfway yet. It's about 23% on average in different countries. And different countries have their own problems with their own systems. But we already have a problem. We deal with an issue that has been mentioned, I think, several times today by a number of speakers, every second one. The grid congestion, unbalanced markets, the need to curtail energy. And when you look at the Netherlands, it's a very extreme case. But I hear also the Netherlands, India, all the countries at a certain moment have a problem with grid congestion. Why? Because someone said, because we all do it at the same time. But I think it's because we are deploying renewables in a system that has been designed for fossil fuels. So that means that we have to take the transition seriously and transform radically, absolutely everything, because otherwise the risks of deploying renewable energy are very high, and it's also quite demotivating. So one of the solutions that has been mentioned today is this demand response, and I work with energy communities. Energy communities are these bottom-up type of movements where people get together in these non-profit type of energy projects. They are in Europe regulated right now. Most of them have to be corporate, they have to have a legal status, and many of them are cooperatives. And most of them have focused on mainly increasing generation capacity. But increasingly now, with the process of electrification, digitalization, I think electrification is a strategy in many countries, also in Norway and the Netherlands. We own way more electric vehicles. We own electric batteries, boilers of a different type, which if we aggregate collectively through an ICT platform, it can provide quite substantial volumes that can be used to deal with the grid issues. And energy communities can do two things, actually. They can internally maximize self-consumption by matching production and consumption or sharing energy in internal markets, or, and they are increasingly ready for that, they can also provide grid services. For example, congestion management or balancing possibilities. And what's beautiful in this work is that actually this is a great example of how to go beyond acceptance, which for me is really a concept that puts users on a receiving end. This is an example of meaningful engagement, because I don't have to convince anyone in the village with whom I work about the benefits of doing it. Everyone knows the prices of the energy for every hour. They are ready to get engaged and play with their flexible assets. One more thing that I want to also mention is that while we use ICT technology to connect all these distributed energy resources, this is actually the last thing that we are doing in such projects. First, we have quite a discussion in the village, in the community, about what is it that people want with their energy. And this ownership, this feeling of ownership, this feeling of having a decision-making is exactly what makes a difference between acceptance and engagement. And I was asked to make a sort of opening, closing statement. I don't know how to properly call it, but I would like to suggest that given the problem I have mentioned, the energy transition is not only about replacing fossil fuel with solar and wind. It's also not only about grid reinforcement, but for the problem that I have sketched, I think it's all about really smart energy management and distribution, matching supply and demand, and empowering users to do that. Thank you very much.